Inshallah, today we want to speak about a hadith which some of the scholars mention is the best hadith when it comes to virtuous deeds, also known as Fadailul A'mal. It's recorded in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Sab'atun yudhilluhumullahu fi dhillih yawma la dhilla illa dhilluh." There are 7 categories of people who will be shaded on the day of judgment, on the day where there will be no shade except the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To put it into perspective and to understand, what is the day of judgment? We all know that everybody passes away eventually and the world comes to an end, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in various places in the Quran, that the trumpet will be blown and everything will cease to exist. Every single thing will come to an end. Every single thing will be destroyed. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will decide that the trumpet will be blown again and the people will be resurrected. This is called the resurrection or al-ba'th. So when the trumpet is blown again and the people are resurrected, they will all be running around. There will be chaos. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes this in the Quran. كَأَنَّهُمْ جَرَادٌ مُنْتَشِرٌ. You know, when you see locusts and they all scattered and spread everywhere, everybody's on top of everybody. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam says that on the day of Qiyamah, people will be resurrected and they will have no clothes and they will have no shoes and they will be uncircumcised. And because it will be so difficult on that day, there will be no shade. The sun will be very close. They'll be going from Nabi to Nabi, asking and begging of them to ask Allah just to judge between the people because they are tired of that day. So this is the day of Qiyamah, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. And the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam is saying, on that day, there will be 7 categories of people who will be shaded under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And on that day, there will be no shade except His shade. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam starts off by saying, the first category, the first type of person, Imamun Adil, is a just ruler, somebody who was put to judge between the people. Here we mainly talking about those who are in charge of a large group of people, but it also includes anybody who settles differences, anybody who judges between two groups of people, or anybody who's been put in a place of responsibility and they have to take out or they have to carry out a certain responsibility which is in the best interests of the parties involved. So for example, yes, when it comes to somebody who is ruling a country or a province, or somebody who is in charge of an organization, or a teacher amongst his students in the classroom, he is the one who judges between them. He is the one who is supposed to be just. Thus, he doesn't favor one over the other for no particular reason. When it comes to a father, or when it comes to the head of the family between the children, this is all included, Imamun Adil. And that's why the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam says in a hadith that there will come a time where this justice and this responsibility will be lost. And when it's lost, then wait for the hour. So my beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, this hadith encourages us that whenever you are in a place of authority, a position of authority, be just, because there is a reward for you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and bi'idhnillah you will be shaded on the day of judgment. So the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, Imamun adilun wa shabun nasha'a fi ibadatillah. Second category is youth, a youngster who was nurtured in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Notice how a lot of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, in fact a lot of the Anbiya, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam, we find that as a young man, as a boy, he started to question what his people were upon. He started asking himself, if the sun is the God, then why does it go away? If the moon is the God, why does it go away? If the stars are the God, why does it go away? Already starting to question himself. Also, you find that people who are younger, they have a lot more strength at time. There is a lot of shahwa. Shaitan tries even more with them. Hence, there is a great reward for those who have been nurtured and brought up in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And ask all those who had bad habits and who said later on when we grow up we'll get rid of those bad habits. Ask them how difficult it was. Ask them how hard it was. And when we look at some of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, when they were still very young, we find that because they had reached a certain level, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam trusted them to carry out those actions and gave them responsibilities, which in our world today we would say this is only for somebody who is above the age of 40 and 50. So the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, وَشَابٌ نَشَأَ فِي عِبَادَةِ اللَّهِ. The third category of people, وَرَجُلٌ قَلْبُهُ مُعَلَّقٌ بِالْمَسَاجِدِ. And a man whose heart, the literal translation is, whose heart is hung up in the masjid, i.e. his heart, the only thing he's thinking about is the masjid, to come to salah, to be present for salah, to be in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And notice that again there is a difference. At times people come to the masjid only because they have to, or because those around them are coming to the masjid, or because if they don't come, somebody will ask them, oh, where were you? And what were you doing? Or if they came, they come with difficulty and hardship. Yes, it's important to strive against the desires of the soul and bring yourself to the masjid. A level higher is somebody whose heart is hung up, who's literally attached to the masjid. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, this person who has this quality will be shaded on the day of judgment. وَرَجُلٌ قَلْبُهُ مُعَلَّقٌ بِالْمَسَاجِدِ. A person may say that we spoke about the first category, which is somebody who rules between the people. I may not be in that position. We spoke about the second category, where somebody who is nurtured in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from a young age. A person may say it's already past. The third category, a person may say, I live far away from the masjid. It's very difficult for me to come, etc., etc. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam then gives us the fourth category, which is very easy. Every single person can practice upon this. He says, وَرَجُلَانِ تَحَابَّا فِي اللَّهِ اجْتَمَعَ عَلَيْهِ وَتَفَرَّقَ عَلَيْهِ. Two people, they loved each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And notice this very important condition. For the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not because he was a millionaire, not because I hope he will give me some job or some monetary gain. No, no, no. وَرَجُلَانِ تَحَابَّا فِي اللَّهِ. They loved each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So not because the day he was prominent in the dunya you wanted to know him, and the day he fell you left him. No, it was for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When they gathered together, it was for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No ulterior motives. And when they left each other, it was for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. اجتمع عليه وتفرق عليه. My beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, this category of people that we're speaking about, this reward is attainable by every single one of us. It only needs us to purify the heart. It only needs us to be those who are well-wishers for all the people we interact with. Look at the reward. You will benefit in this world, and on the day of Qiyamah there is a reward, and also this specific reward which is mentioned, where you will be shaded under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَرَجُلَانِ تَحَابَّا فِي اللَّهِ اجْتَمَعَا عَلَيْهِ وَتَفَرَّقَا عَلَيْهِ. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam then mentions the fifth category. He says, and a man, وَرَجُلٌ دَعَتْهُ امْرَأَةً ذَاتُ مَنْصِبٍ وَجَمَالٍ فَقَالَ إِنِّي أَخَافُ اللَّهِ. A man who is called by a woman who has beauty and has prominent status to commit zina, to commit sin, and he says, Inni akhafullah, I fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He leaves that sin. Imagine a beautiful person as well as somebody of position, and there's nobody there to stop them. What's stopping this person? The fact that he has the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And yes, we are speaking about this quality that a person has if they save themselves, they will be shaded under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also remember, the fadl and virtue of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is vast. So you find at times what can be included in this is peer pressure. So sometimes you are in a gathering, in a position with people who want to commit a crime, who want to commit a sin, 3, 4, 5, few people. And what stops you is the fact that you say, I fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't want to do it. This being able to stand up for what is right in a difficult situation, there is a great reward for those who do that. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam then speaks about the sixth category. He says, وَرَجُلٌ تَصَدَّقَ بِصَدَقَةٍ, and a man who gave charity, فَأَخْفَاهَا, and he hid it, he kept it hidden. حَتَّى لَا تَعْلَمُ شِمَالُهُ مَا تُنْفِقُ يَمِينُهُ, so much so that his left hand doesn't know what the right hand spent, what the right hand gave. My beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, at this point, it's important to go a little bit deeper into charity and giving it out in the open and giving it out in secret. The default and what is encouraged in Islam is to give your charity in secret. That is generally the default on most occasions. You will be giving out your charity in secret such that nobody knows. At times, it is encouraged to give your charity such that others know about it as long as your intention is correct, and it is hoped that by doing that, they will also learn from you. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He praises those people who spend in open as well as in secret. So we've got to remember this, that spending in open, spending in secret, both are encouraged. The default and most encouraged is when a person hides his sadaqah such that nobody else knows. And look at the wording used. So much so that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand spent. That means if the parts of your body don't know that you gave this one and that one, also those who are closest to you shouldn't know. You spend, you give so and so, you help so and so, and it's done. It's over. That's why Allah says, لا تبطلوا صدقاتكم بالمن والأذى. After you've given sadaqah, you've helped somebody, after a while, let's say you have a problem with them, then you start reminding them. You tell them, on that day I gave you this and this and this. This is not encouraged. This actually defeats the purpose of sadaqah. It was better that you held back and you didn't give. And at times where you feel that others will benefit from you giving, in open you say, for example, we are supporting this good cause, I've given so much, and you do it. As we can see that people are able to give sadaqah on various different days. You gather between the two. My beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, the seventh category of people that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions. And this again is something, when you read, it seems very simple and very easy. But it is only, or a person who possesses a sound and soft heart is only able to carry out this act of worship. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, وَرَجُلٌ ذَكَرَ اللَّهَ خَالِيًا فَفَاضَتْ عَيْنَاهُ, and a man who remembered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, either the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in general, reading the Quran, making dhikr, etc., or in his heart, remembering the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, remembering what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him, remembering the fact that he is an imperfect human being that has disobeyed the Creator on so many different occasions. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, a person who remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and there's a condition, not in the open where everybody can see you and you sobbing and crying away. He says, ذَكَرَ اللَّهَ خَالِيًا, whilst he is alone. Nobody else knows. Why? Because when you are alone, it is closer to sincerity and ikhlas. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, as this person is remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his eyes tear. He cries for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The fact that he's remembering his Creator. My beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, ask yourself the question, when was the last time that you were alone and you thought about the Creator, the one who gave you everything, the one who you have disobeyed on so many different occasions? When was the last time you thought about this alone and even one teardrop ran down your cheek. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, the one who is able to do this, the one who does this, he will have the special shade on the day of Qiyamah when there will be no shade. As we can see, 7 categories mentioned in this hadith. Every single category, a person is able to at least be from one of these categories. Every night before you sleep, every week, every month, if not, try your best at least once in a lifetime. Be from that person who remembered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely, such that he teared. My beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, when we look at all these categories we mentioned, one quality that gathers between them all, you find, is that they had good hearts. They had sincerity from within. It wasn't an outside pressure. It wasn't an outside influence that influenced their decision. No, it was the fact that they had morals and principles and were attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hence, a person, when he had authority, as we mentioned in the first category, there's nothing stopping him in terms of worldly. There's no person who can stop him if he's on the top. It's only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's only that fear and the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A person who loves somebody else for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's very easy to take something monetary, which is something monetary or some worldly gain. But it only takes the one who has a clean heart to love for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's very easy to help everybody in public when you're giving charity. But it takes the one with a clean heart to do it such that nobody else knows. And the 7th category, as we mentioned, the test, a major test, is it's easy to show everybody that you are in the masjid, or you give, you recite Quran and you do so many acts of worship in the open. But what about you when it comes to being secluded with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And that's why in so many verses of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes mention of this seclusion. He says there are groups of people who يَسْتَخْفُونَ مِنَ النَّاسِ وَلَا يَسْتَخْفُونَ مِنَ اللَّهِ وَهُوَ مَعَهُمْ. They fear and they are shy of people. In the public, they shy of people. However, they are not shy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when they are alone and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with them. So this, he's reprimanding those who are extremely holy only in public, and when it comes to private, then their affair is not good with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in another verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praises those who fear Him, especially in private. Man khashiya ar-Rahmana bil-ghayb. The one who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in private when nobody else knows, and he comes with a clean heart, it will be said to them, enter into Jannah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from those who possess these great qualities. And we ask Him to make us from those who are shaded on the day of judgment. My beloved brothers and sisters in Islam, for every punishment, for every difficulty that we hear about in the Quran or the Hadith, there is always a solution that is also mentioned in the Quran and the Hadith. So yes, it's important to fear the punishment and to try to protect yourself. And how does a person do that? By doing good deeds and by following what's been instructed of you to do. We ask Allah to grant us goodness, beneficial knowledge, make us from those who are saved on the day of Qiyamah. Ameen. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.